Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry, from the informative to the insane, starring Ryan Rash.
Stay true in the dark and humble in the spotlight.
And Dale Hummel.
Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel, along with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I just said hello.
Just kidding. Ryan is having some internet.
Don't screw with me right now, Dale. Okay, seriously.
Are you in Motel 6 or what are you in?
I am in the nicest hotel in Huron, South Dakota, and I'm just telling you, it is not prime property.
Clifton says your internet signal is weak.
I told y'all before this started that my internet and my Wi-Fi was going to suck like Viagra Ramshackle. So don't even start with me.
You could go sit in some Starbucks or something like that.
They don't have Starbucks in Huron, South Dakota, Dale. Have you ever been to the South Dakota State Fair? Obviously not.
I have not been to the South Dakota State Fair. They have.
And you can't sit in a Starbucks and record a podcast with people coming in and out.
Rent a car and steal their Wi-Fi out in their park.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What do you want to talk about?
It's time for current events. Let's talk about Mr. Viagra.
That is your.
I tried to do some research on him. I couldn't come up with any, but would you?
What do you need to know about?
From what you've told me, I would like you to repeat.
He is a vegetarian.
I'm gone out.
He is an animal rights activist. When he was a freshman at Harvard, he attended Al Sharpton, one of the most liberal, racist black people in the world, and asked him, this is rich too, by the way, asked Al Sharpton at this town hall, why should he vote for Al Sharpton when he had the least amount of political experience of everyone in the field? Pot, meat, kettle. Also, at the Iowa State Fair, when he was there,
the most important one.
He refused to go to the livestock barns because of his animal rights stances. And that is confirmed eyewitness account.
So does he not appear to be intelligent?
No, I don't think so. You're the only one that likes this person.
No, I'm telling you, there's no question.
You and one other lady that I like too much to bring her name up on this podcast, and I have changed her since.
Okay, so I consider him to be able to speak well. I think obviously he's proven himself in the business world. There's a level of intelligence there. So how is it possible? And I believe it, and I'm totally gone, out, done, all of that on him. But how could someone be at the Iowa State Fair and make a statement like that? I'm assuming to another political official,
a state politician in Iowa. Again, yes. I'm not going to give up my sources.
No need to give that up. But what I'm getting at is I don't know how someone can be that ignorant to. You could avoid going there somehow, make up whatever you're going to make up. But to say that at a state fair in the state of Iowa, would he not realize that's suicide?
Evidently not. Your boyfriend's dumb.
That is
not
right.
He also misspelled Nikki Haley's maiden name on his website, by the way, because so she has an Indian name and then her maiden name, and he like made fun of her name and he misspelled it wrong. He's a great guy.
And again, that probably wasn't him doing that, but he should have. It still falls on him.
You think that he didn't know they were going to do that?
I assume he instructed them to do it, but I doubt that he must not have proofed it or had faith in somebody getting it correctly.
Oh, I don't think he misspelled the name, but he knew that what the intent was. Yes.
So out of curiosity, what is Nikki Haley's maiden name?
Oh, it is very difficult to. I can't pronounce it, or I would not be able to spell it either. And I'm terrible at it.
Is Nikki actually her first name, or has that been changed as well?
That is her middle name. It is on her birth certificate.
Do you have a first name?
It's again, I can't pronounce it or spell it.
Okay, got it. Okay, while we're on the political things of it all, I looked up and it's been far worse since then. As of July,
Nimarata. That is her first name. I'm saying that is Nimarata. And then her middle name, Nikki. Her maiden name is Randhawa, Randhawa. And her married name is Haley. There you go.
fair enough.
Is that?
So I mean, take your middle name with your married. I think. I mean, she'll survive that. Okay, I want to get back to your president's vacation time.
He's back at the beach.
As of July 7th of 23,
He's back at the beach.
He had spent 352 days of his presidency on vacation, just under 40%. And it's been far worse in July and August, has it not?
Oh, yeah. One of my very good friends told me the other day, and I don't remember which day this was, that of the last 30 days he had been on vacation, like 20.
I just don't. Is there not? I mean, I assume you, as president, you can take whatever vacation days you want. I'm sure there's no hard and fast rule on it. Is my opinion.
I don't think there is a rule that says you have to be working a certain number of days as president. You would think that this would not be a problem, but
during my lifetime, irregardless of what party the president has been, I'm going to say that they took less vacation days than not in general.
You think?
Until this one. I'm not saying they didn't. There weren't some that took vacation days. I'm sure they did, but a lot.
Barack went to Hawaii a lot, but not like this.
He was looking for his birth certificate. Right.
You're right. He never found that thing.
And I saw something new come up about that again. I didn't dive in much further, but I did see that. What about? And again, you and I talked briefly about it, and we do believe it's coming. That there's something that will land that will put Biden in a little bit of trouble here in the near future. That's supposed to be coming out. I heard from one of the possibly an IRS tax person that is going to turn and give evidence of some sort if he can get congressional, I guess, immunity or protection. I don't know what it's going to be, but it does follow along with what you and I have discussed, that they're going to let something drop on him so he cannot run. And maybe this is it. I'm surprised if it comes out sooner than later. I would think they'd want to wait as long as they can before they pull the plug on
that. My belief is because, again, when this subject comes up, they all say the same thing, that by the end of the year, he will no longer be running for president or be the nominee. So what that does is, if he drops out in December or says, I'm not going to run, or whatever the hell, he says, then that is before the primaries and the caucuses start. So whoever they have chosen gets to go through all those, and only one person's going to step up probably, and they're not going to let RFK be it. So there you go, whether it's Gavin or Hillary or Michelle.
Okay, so I'm curious because I did pull up what it requires to get on the state ballots for the primary as a Democrat. And a lot of those filing dates were long ago. It doesn't require much, very few signatures. Every state is different on what is allowed. I assume that the Democratic Party within that state decides what is justified to get on that state ticket. And most of the deadlines have passed. So I think a lot of those deadlines have expired. I'm sure Kennedy's probably put himself on most of those, if not all of them. Your boyfriend in California, be curious to see if he has already met those requirements. Mr. Newsom, that is.
Don't ask me.
But he says he's not running, so why would he have applied to be on the ballot if he wasn't running? So what I'm getting at,
I don't know that he has.
Well, I don't either. But what I'm getting at, it's hard for them to deny Kennedy if there's nobody else. There's supposedly 150 people that are running, but outside of Kennedy, he's the only one that has any traction at all. What I'm getting at is I don't know if they want to place somebody in there. How do they do that when they can't officially get them on the ballot?
That I cannot tell you. But again, there's going to be, I truly believe he's not going to run. There's going to be something, and these people have a plan in place. They're not just flying blind. They know he's not running, or they know that they're going to force him not to run.
And I agree with that. I'm just curious how they're going to manipulate the system when the deadline for being on the ballots in every state in the country is already passed. So yeah, that part I don't understand. I'm sure they'll come up with something. If there wasn't a viable candidate, I don't know if I'd consider it viable if I'm a Democrat, but
you do know that. I mean, regardless of all your whatever you're saying, whether they're on the ballot, at the Democratic National Convention, they can elect whoever they want to.
See, and I am not aware of how that works. I assume they can. It just doesn't look good if they don't.
I'm not saying it looks good, but it can happen. There have been open conventions before in history, sir.
Yes, and they have until February 3rd. I believe South Carolina is the first Democrat primary, followed by New Hampshire and then Georgia a week later. So they have a little time yet, so it'll be interesting. I think what you're hearing by the end of the year, it all makes sense, and it'll be very interesting how that plays out. So I'm going to read you something. Are you ready? And then you're going to respond accordingly. This is actually Article 2, Section 1 of the United States Constitution. No person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of president. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who shall not have attained to the age of 35 years and been 14 years as a resident within the United States. That is our qualifications for president. And we've talked about those, right?
Natural-born citizen and 35.
That's the and 14 years as a resident in the U.S. So there's not.
Well, I don't think we're going to elect somebody that ain't living here.
Some days. Does this make Trump eligible under almost any circumstance?
Yes. He's never not lived in the United States. He's over 35 and he's a natural-born citizen, sir.
Yes, and you know what else it does not say?
What?
It doesn't say anything about the gay running for president. You are eligible. For president. You are eligible. Oh, you're not.
I didn't say I wasn't eligible, but I'm not running for president.
So you are admitting you're over 35.
I'm eligible to run for president.
Nice answer. What about Mitch being mentally gone?
He's got to go. And I have never liked that son of a bitch anyway. I mean, never liked that man. Never.
Mitch
he is a spineless jellyfish weasel career politician that is no good for nothing. But anyway,
explain the video.
He's a rhino. He is not a true Republican. But anyway, this is the second time that he's been standing there at the microphone and somebody asks him something and like his mouth doesn't move, his eyes don't move, nothing. And then one of his little cohorts said, "Mitch, did you hear the question?" And he looks at her and kind of like nods and still don't say nothing. And then they, shoo him off. Again, okay, what I don't understand, and I would probably be for term limits for most offices. I am not against. Nikki Haley brought up, that she thinks that everybody should have I don't think she said 65 has to take a cognitive abilities test. I'm not against that, but this is my problem.
I don't know that it could be age.
They know this man has developed something here lately that causes this. Now, I do not like Senator Dianne Feinstein. They are trying to get that woman committed, all this other stuff, jerk her out because she can at least talk, okay? I mean, she's 90, whatever she is, but she can talk at least.
Yeah, and I think she's coherent to that stupid shit she's.
They have been brutal to that old lady. I mean, and I'm talking about her party. Her party has been brutal.
She earned it. She earns it every day.
Okay, wait, would you let me finish? Why aren't the Republicans saying he needs to step down as speaker? No, he's not speaker, but he needs to step down as leader of the Republicans in the Senate.
I don't.
Nobody's saying a word.
I'm assuming
not a word.
either they're not covering it or they simply aren't saying it in public, but everybody has to be thinking such.
Well, all the Democrats are yelling at the top of their lungs to make Feinstein retire, resign, whatever the hell it is.
I'm telling you, they ought to be yelling the same about Joe, and it's sad on both sides of the both parties. And when someone gets to that point, there needs to be something to relieve them of their duty. That they should not be allowed to make decisions that are going to impact our country when they're not cognitive at all. At all.
No, I mean, it is clear. It is on video now twice in probably the last month, I think, that this has happened. There is a very, very large problem. And I don't know what Mitch's age is, but it doesn't matter.
He is 81.
But, I say this and I believe it and I think I'm right. They freaking elected Fetterman. So there you go.
And there's another example of what I don't know how old he is. He's under 50, I assume.
Got to be under 50, I would think.
So there's that perfect example. That is a testament to the ignorance of our voting population. It's a sad situation. Our entire country is in a bad position when things like that can be allowed to happen, because there was no hiding that Fetterman was not capable of doing anything, and they still elected him.
Well, I mean, we're bitching about Joe being on vacation all the time. That guy was in like the mental institution for like 6 weeks.
He was in the hospital, but on the mental.
The mental hospital. The mental hospital. Do not lie to these people. It was a mental hospital.
It was something like that. I do it, and he deserved. And I feel bad for him. But you know what? If I go back before he had a stroke or any of these issues, it still wasn't very good. It has clearly gotten worse, but his views on life and policy and becoming a grown-up, whatever you want to look at it, it wasn't good. Period.
I can't with all this. Again, it is crazy.
So Trump lost 5 points since the debate.
Yep.
He can afford to lose 25 and he's still fine. 30 probably.
Well, he's still over 50%, but I said before, and I thought that while I do still think it was a mistake not to debate, he dropped a little. Most people still think he won because he's raised $20 million this month. And 10 of it since the mugshot. But he cannot skip them all. Like, it's not going to work. You look scared. You look unsure yourself. And so that's not going to work. But
I'm not aware. Are there I know there's at least 3. Are there 4? I don't know how many there's.
I have no idea.
I know at least 3. I think it was supposed to be 1 a month, but I'm not. I'd have to look that up. No, I'm with you. I don't think he can skip them all, but I just don't know. If you ask me if he's going to be in the next debate, I don't know.
Whatever it is, he needs to show up for the last one at least, the very last.
And that may be the direction he goes, depending on. I think it will depend on the moderator, and I don't know what those are. There's one.
Well, who else is doing these debates? Fox Business is doing the next one, right?
I thought they're doing the third one, but
okay,
I do not know for sure. Yeah, and I don't think he has any. He's obviously not a Fox fan. He's with me in the garage.
You in the garage, yeah, the garage news. There you go.
Well, do you have any positive
basement?
Today?
I'm sure it's in Joe's basement. No, it's Fox News. Fox News Media is the second one. And it's the moderators are Stuart Varney and Dana Perino.
Okay. And do you have the third one there while you're searching? Clifton can edit all the pauses out. We're okay.
You want all this information from me, but you don't.
I'm just trying to make Troy happy. Little rainbows, butterflies.
It's in Tuscaloosa. And according to this, in Alabama in October. And according to this, Trump has said that he will go.
And who's hosting that? That is the Fox Business one?
That was the second one. I don't.
Got it.
I don't know.
Interesting. See, there's our positive. We're going to see Trump in a debate.
There you go.
Center stage. Will they attack him?
Who the hell knows? I mean, I would. Well, it depends on if Chris Christie's still fat ass is up there. He's going to be like a
he can't come
bull
back. He
in a
can't come
china
back.
closet.
He cannot attend another debate. He cannot.
I don't think Nikki Haley will attack him. I think Nikki will say what she has been saying, is that she believes in 90% of what Trump believes and all this other stuff, but she doesn't have to go to court and she can be on the campaign trail. I don't think that's an attack, because I do think they are legitimately good friends. I mean, because he of all the people that announced they were running for president, Nikki and Scott got very warm reception from Trump. Like, he made public statements, glad they're running, all this other stuff, yada, yada, yada.
I think he's not afraid of Viagra, and I think there's an outside chance Nikki would be a running mate. Is there an outside chance Nikki would be a running mate and he has no fear of Viagra?
Oh, I don't think he has any fear of Viagra, because Viagra is going to shoot himself in the foot 19,000 times between now and then. Yeah. But my thing is, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, he's got to have a female. It's got to be a female. It has got to be a female. Do I think Nikki Haley would be a very good vice president? Yes, I do. I also think Kristi Noem would be a very good vice president, but I don't think either one of them do anything for the ticket in terms of, other than being a woman, electability. Like, I don't, because South Carolina is going to go Republican anyway. South Dakota is going to go Republican anyway. A lot of people seem to think Carrie Lake is in the running for that. I think she's brilliant, but she couldn't win Arizona. So she can't win Arizona running for governor. How's she going to get Arizona for Trump?
I don't think that works.
The one that I think is the smart choice, and it will never happen, is Tulsi Gabbard. She was a Democrat. Now she's an independent. She is absolutely brilliant, rational, common sense. And I think that she, I mean, again, don't know, what did Hawaii do? She's from Hawaii. I don't even know if Hawaii is Republican. I don't even, it's probably one electoral vote anyway. But I think that she would appeal to many independents.
I would say Hawaii is definitely a liberal state, is my guess. I don't know that, but
yeah,
that would be my opinion anyway. Well, I think it's time for definite positive news with the BTR JLA.
Oh, you want what now?
I want some good news from the BTR JLA. I want you to read the top 10.
Oh my God, you're so demanding.
Do you have
Lord? I'm getting it. I'm working on it. We were talking. This is the shortest current events ever.
No, I'm looking at our recording and you're 23 minutes in, is why I decided we probably ought to move on.
I am very proud of the fact that we have now announced every single top 10 standings on the national level, and we are starting over. So we are at the all around, which is going to be a very hotly contested little race here. I'm just telling you, this is going to get interesting as we go on through. In first place right now, Isabel Lowry of Montana. Second place, Piper Liska of Arizona. Third place, Echo Bartles, Colorado. Fourth place, Zane Downey, Montana. Fifth place, Macy Zerbach, Oregon. Sixth place is Addison Sharp of Utah. Seventh place is Paisley Carlson of California. Eighth place is Mason Calhoun of Oregon. Ninth place is Sarah Danley of Texas. And 10th place is J.W. Powers of Malta, Idaho. How about that?
Those names were easy, weren't they?
I thought so. Oh, I've got to tell a funny story about sponsorship. So, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but anyway, Richie Show Steers sponsored Region 4 cattle. And so when I was home before I came to South Dakota, their check came in the mail. And Gretchen Richie she's very funny, or she thinks she's very funny. Anyway, do you want to know what happened when I opened the mail to get the check out now?
Please tell.
Glitter everywhere on me, in my car. I mean, it was covered.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, it was so funny. It was. I mean, I didn't tell her, but I did laugh. But anyway, and they have a sale coming up on Steer Better, so check out Gretchen Ritchie Glitter Bomb steers on Steer Better because they've got a sale coming up, I think September 10th. I want to say a huge thank you to Maddie Curley family and Curley Cattle Company for the second year. They have been a Region 1 species sponsor. This year they are cattle, but last year cattle was already taken, and Maddie said, I don't care. You just take my money and put me on whatever species doesn't get filled. Great family. They're very supportive of all the youth that grow up showing livestock. Curley Cattle Company is located in the #1 agricultural producing state in Central California. They are a family-owned business that is run by Maddie and her son, Aaron Curley. They run 45 head of cows and show breeding cattle on a national level. They focus on producing high-quality stock to sell to the youth. Curley Cattle has donor partnerships with a few high-profile breeders throughout the U.S. They are currently put in approximately 75% of their cell calves as embryos, and then they AI Aaron's retired elite show heifers that he won a lot of stuff with, even under me. The Curleys will hold 2 online sales in the fall, in September and October, where they sell prospect steer calves as well as show heifers. Their first sale is September 11th. The offering is already up on SC Online Sales. Check them out, and we appreciate you, Curley Cattle Company.
Thank you, Curley Cattle Company. It is appreciated. I would like to acknowledge the continued support of ShowFresh H2O. I refuse to get behind and promote anything I do not believe has merit. This product is simple. Pour ShowFresh H2O into city water and it removes the chlorine. This is going to allow your animals to consume more water, more hydrated. They get along better in the show ring. Nothing more simple than that. ShowFresh H2O can be picked up at your local farm store, show supply trailer, or at swampfox.com. It is time, Ryan. It is time. This is going to be one of your favorite episodes, by the way. I predict.
That means nobody will like it. Nobody will comment on social media or send me anything, but I will like this episode. Yes.
Just do it. Part 2. Please bring us into part 2, Ryan.
And again, people are probably going to get their panties ruffled over this, but I just keep things real. The one thing, because we talk about this a lot, that there is a lot of judging that nobody wants to recognize or admit to, that there is a subconscious level that plays into things. And as an exhibitor, as a kid, what you should try to do in any way possible is to get the judge to pull for you. And I don't mean like pull you, like root for you, want you to win. And other people won't admit this, but I will. There are situations when that happens. You want a certain kid to win. A lot of times they can't. But you know what? If that kid, you have a rapport with that kid has impressed you somehow, all this other stuff, maybe they're not going to win, but they might get a sell hole. Or maybe instead of being 5th, they're 3rd. And people will not admit to this, but this is the truth, Dale, whether you want to admit to it or not.
You're pretty sure this is the truth.
I'm telling you.
How many times has this happened to you?
I'm not saying it happens a ton, but it has happened.
It is true. I can't speak for others, but I can assure you that there have been, and a lot of times it's a younger kid, whether it's a polite gesture, mannerism, there's multitude of things that can do that. But it's just like in life that you'll meet some people that you're drawn to or you want to root for. And when you're in that position as judge, that young man or young lady or that showman may not be able to win that class or win that show, but you have that draw that you want them to do as well as they can because of an impression they gave you. What examples, how does a young person give off this impression, Ryan?
I think there's lots of ways that you can do it, but I think that the first thing that we need to address is the fact that in every show, it doesn't matter how fast or how slow the man or woman out there sorting is, there is downtime in every show. Would you agree with that?
Yes, very seldom is there not.
Right. And so it is in the downtime that you notice things because you're either looking for the next class or, they're taking a 5-minute break or something. And so you're just sitting there. And so you notice things because there's nothing in the ring to notice. So you notice the stuff that's going on outside of the ring. Would you at least agree with me on that?
Absolutely. And during that downtime, you're observant. The judge is observing more things than what the showman or the public probably is aware of.
This can go two ways. I think as a kid, you can do something to get yourself noticed in a good way, in a positive way, without ever having a one-on-one interaction with that judge. And then you can also do the other, have a negative impact or connotation by some of your actions outside of the ring. And so I'm just going to throw an example out there. If you're standing by the gate where the animals come in and you have your head buried in your phone and you never look up, that's probably not a good look. Would you agree with that, Dale?
I would agree.
Yeah. And so there's things like that there's nothing wrong with it, but I'm just telling you, if you're in that judge's eyesight and you're doing that, that's probably not going to come across real well.
Or if you're in that entryway or in the holding ring and and the judge can see your animal, whatever species it may be, and you've let the head drop to the ground, and
exactly same thing.
You just can't do those things.
Yeah, if you or your animal is in the eyesight of the judge, you have to be on your game.
Absolutely. I'm going to bring up something, Ryan, that you and I have said no less than 257 times. Do you know what that is?
Go to the show and watch the first one.
Yes, and if or the second or the third or before you come in. And you know what? Those kids that are up front in the bleachers or along the rail or whatever it may be, I'm not saying it's going to make a difference in where they're placed, but most judges are going to acknowledge.
But you're going to have a warm fuzzy about that kid.
Acknowledge that is a.
It may not make a damn difference in but you're going to have a warm fuzzy about that kid.
It's that simple and it's that real.
Maybe, it is.
Maybe it's just you and I. Maybe the others don't think.
Now, because I have talked several people and we all have discussed this. And again, I haven't talked to every judge in America, but I've talked to several. And when it's one-on-one, they have admitted the same thing to me. They won't come on record and admit it, but they have admitted to me in one-on-one conversations. But again, you're going to have a warm fuzzy about that kid because they were there, they were checking it out, made sure, whatever, all this other stuff. I talked on a podcast before. There was a young lady at the Open Hereford show in Fort Worth. And there were these folding chairs down ringside. She was on the front row, center. Every time an adult came by, she stood up, spoke, shook their hand, applauded when the judge asked for applause, paid attention to everything that was going on. And this was not for just a class or two. This was for probably 30 minutes. And I wasn't judging, but I noticed that child from the stands doing that. And again, do not think that I will forget who that child is. If I ever see her in a ring, that will be the first thing that I think, that's that girl that was at the Open Hereford show in Fort Worth. And whether you want to admit it or not, you are going to have a warm fuzzy about a kid like that. And warm fuzzies matter. I'm just telling you, they do. They do.
I'm going to point out something that I think a lot of kids have been instructed to do to try to help with exactly what we're talking about. But I'm also going to explain that it doesn't do as much because every kid is doing it. But that is going up when you're talking to their animal or shake their hand on the way out of the ring, if at all possible. And that's good. I think that's respectful. I think it's all positive. But the problem is you're not setting yourself apart because what's happening, right? Everybody's doing it. So right. It's not a big plus. And there are some judges.
Well, and also it's over.
Yes, very true. Unless they're coming back. There are some judges, maybe I shouldn't speak for Scotty G, but I think he's one of them that will oftentimes tell them, don't come up while I'm talking them, but rather I'll come over and shake your hand on the way out. It is a little bit awkward, not as much. I don't mind when they come up to me and I shake their hand while we're talking about them, but it is a touch distracting. And I think more so if you've got a lamb or a goat or whatever, and the darn thing doesn't want to go that way, or a calf. and it's a challenge to get the goat to where the judge is at. So I'm up in the air on that one. I want that. I appreciate the respect that's coming, but I don't know if during the set of reasons that you're giving, if that's the appropriate time to do so. And I also am going to go a step further. And Ryan, I think you and I have talked about this. Maybe not. When we bring those top 5 lambs or goats out to talk, and we've got those 5 lined up in front of us, I think it works better. And I've probably stated this before, for the parents, the grandparents, the spectators outside the ring, watching if all 5 of those stay in place while you talk them, so they can accurately bounce back and forth in their mind when you're making those comparisons, rather than leaving when you're finished talking about the first one, because some judges may come back and compare that third one to the first one or whatever. But it seems easier for them to follow if all 5 are standing there. The judge talks them. The judge then walks to them, so the animal doesn't have to come to the judge, shake their hand, whatever they would like to do at that point, and then exit the ring. Just my opinion.
But again, and I will talk more about things you can do inside the ring and whatever, all this other stuff. But again, we're talking about outside the ring, and then Jay will jump the gun as usual. But again, if you're standing there, you're paying attention, all this other stuff, that's going to make a positive impression. And I'm going to tell you, and I will not lie, I have sent kids to the ring. I said, you stay there by that gate. You want that person to see you. And don't be on your phone, all this other stuff. Because I know more than me do this. There is a lot of times when I am waiting for a class. You're obviously standing there next to the gate. I'll go walk up and talk to whatever kid's standing over there. I don't like to talk to the adults, I'll be real honest, but I'll talk to a kid. And you got to put yourself in that position to be there. And again, people are going to go, oh my God, I cannot believe he said that. I have sent children up there just for that purpose. I am not going to lie. You don't know if it's going to happen, but if it does, you capitalize on it. And again, but I'm going to I'm going to mention this kid several times. Just a month ago, I don't remember however long.
Is this the young boy you'd like to adopt?
Maybe, but anyway.
Okay. No names, right? No names.
No, we're not going to give names. But anyway, I judged this kid before. He made a huge impression on me. I talked to him after the show, all this stuff. And so then I see him at another show. The first person I see when I walk into the ring, that young man is on the first row, dead center. And I mean, he is glued in. And nobody's with him. And this kid is not very old. No one is with him. It is him. And what do you think that did to me right there, Dale?
Warm fuzzies. You're warm fuzzies.
On back order.
Oh, my.
Electrocharged warm fuzzies.
He could have brought a donkey into the ring that day.
He did not. Again, he did not bring a donkey in the ring. And no, it's not that bad. But I'm telling you, it helps. It helps to make you. It is so hard to win these shows. There are so many animals that are so good that can win. When we talk about that, it is long gone are the days where you show up and everybody, yep, that's the winner. No, now there's 5 or 6 that can win. You have to do every single thing you can to try to get the odds in your favor. So I'm telling you, if you're going to be at the ring, don't be throwing a football. Don't be jackassing around with your friends. Don't be on your phone. If you're going to be in that judge's eyesight, then you be on it. You be poised. You be paying attention. And you let that person in the ring know that you are serious about what is going on. And you are there to pay attention, take notice. And that will get you noticed. And again, I'm not going to tell you it's going to do a damn thing for you in terms of placing, but it might. And you will get the warm fuzzy you feel. I don't care what anybody says. That's just the truth.
That's one of the best statements you've made.
That's just the truth.
And maybe this will get kids up to the ring now, finally, because we have had no success in getting kids to the ring. Unless you're saying more than I am.
Zero.
I mean,
Zero.
I will notice 1, 2 on a really good day, maybe 3 that'll come up and watch a class. I'm sure I'm missing some.
They must like you more than me. because I don't see that many.
It just doesn't happen. And I understand. Maybe you're a senior showman. You've been to this show for 10 years and they do the same thing every time. I get it. But it's probably a good idea to go up there and make sure the judge is doing it as they did last year or the previous day or whatever it may have been. And I'm going to be as honest as I can. I still do not see people doing that. Maybe we have no listeners anymore, right? Maybe they're gone. Talking to ourselves.
I guess, maybe. But, and then going to shift now to more about inside the ring. And again, this is probably going to, again, ruffle some feathers, but at the majority of shows, not all shows, but at the majority of shows, especially at the county fair level or the jackpot level or something like that, would you not agree, Dale, that a lot of times there are kids that work the ring? Think of all the state breeding cattle shows you've done. You see it at junior nationals or even at major shows, those kids that are on the board, whatever. There are kids that work the ring. Do you agree with that?
All the time.
A majority of the shows.
All the time.
Yeah. Do you know that very seldom do those children ever take advantage of that opportunity fully?
I've noticed a couple out of.
I said so very few though.
Yep.
If I
and it's
was
a huge
in that,
opportunity,
I'm
and I don't
telling
know that
you,
they should be allowed.
And again, you can't be stuck. Dale, will you at least agree that at the majority of the shows, regardless of species, that there are exhibitors in the ring working the ring at most of these shows?
Yes, ma'am. And I
what do they not do?
Sometimes they won't impress you at the level they should take advantage of their position being in the ring.
This is like a golden opportunity.
However, I don't know if and it happens and it's going to continue to happen. It's such a golden opportunity. I don't know that it's even fair.
I don't care if it's fair. It happens. The fair is not the point here.
And it is fair because very few take advantage of the situation.
Fair is not the point here because, again, it's not like they just jumped over the fence and was like, yo, I'm here to work. I mean, they were
put
in that situation or asked to be out there. And they will talk to the children showing more than they will talk to the judge.
And they could build that rapport so well.
Oh, my God. Do you know if I would have ever got to do that as a child within 3 classes, that person, I would have had that judge wrapped around my finger. Like, mega. We would have been besties. I mean, and again, I just don't understand it. I mean, they come, and almost all of them, at least in that I have seen and when I have been a judge, will come up, they will introduce themselves, shake your hand, and then that is it.
Sometimes you don't even get that much. Sometimes not even that.
I mean, that's it. And again,
maybe
I think that you have to be careful. You can't interrupt the person while they're judging. But again, there is downtime. And there are funny situations that happen at every single show in more classes than not. And again, these kids do not take advantage. This is a golden opportunity to get that person to want to pull for you. Just like we're saying, he is or she is going to be rooting for you. If you are kind and courteous and involved and engaged in this deal, being a judge, Dale, would you not agree that being a judge is kind of a lonely situation?
I would say absolutely.
Okay. I agree too.
You between classes, you're a little bit, I'm not going to say bored, but you're wanting interaction.
But you are isolated because all this other stuff, and you are wanting someone to interact with you to make it less awkward.
Correct. It's kind of like Ron DeSantis on the debate stage.
Well, good luck helping with him. But I mean, and they don't. I sit there and like, and I will try to talk to them, and some of them will talk back, but very, very few. I'm talking less than 5% will come up and make that deal, and you know that kid is wanting to do everything that they can, not only to do their job, but also to be involved with you and to get to know you better. And that is very, very impressive. It is exceptionally impressive to me.
It is.
when they do that.
I defend some of them that maybe they're concerned that they're not allowed or should not talk to the judge because it may induce favoritism.
I do not give
I
a shit.
understand what you think and care. I'm just trying to put myself in their position that maybe
And I am telling you that is the wrong position to think in. You need that. Oh my God.
I am with you.
It is amazing to me. Like I literally want to be like, where are your parents? Can I go talk to them? Excuse me, sir. Why don't you have this kid out here wanting to talk to me? And again, I know that I am strange and weird and insane and all these other things, but my parent would never have to tell me that. Ever. I would know that's what you need to do.
And thankfully, nobody ever let you in the ring.
No, they did not. But
there's a reason.
But so that is one part of it. The other part is when you're actually showing. Again, I am not going to tell you that every judge is going to say hello or how you're doing or anything like that. I do at every single show, every single kid, every time they come in the ring. Like when I see a kid 2 or 3 times, I'm like, well, welcome back. Because I can't ask you how you doing 15 times or whatever. But if a judge takes the time to say something back, do not just stare at them.
I would agree.
You're laughing.
I do
because it's not funny.
No, because I can see it happening too often, and I have engaged with a young person, and I've gotten that blank look, like, am I supposed to talk? What am I to do? And you're right. If I have that same person, if they come in probably even the second time, but particularly a third time, I'm going to say something about that in some manner, and that's opening the door wide open.
You're getting your frequent flyer miles today, and I'm like, did you bring all these in one trailer? I mean, something like that. But again, even if it is, how are you? Which is what I normally say to every single kid. How are you today, ma'am? How are you, sir? Whatever. Say something back. I'm good. How are you? But just say
sir or ma'am.
Right. But just say something. Do not say anything. Because that's the worst impression you can make. I mean, it truly is.
And then what we're trying to get at for those exhibitors that are listening to this podcast right now, look at it. I'm going to simplify it. You just have to stop and think about it, whether you're inside the ring or outside the ring. Anything that you can do, and this is an example that Ryan's pointed out, to make a positive impression, whether it's a polite gesture, whether it's a sincere handshake, whether it's helping another exhibitor that's in front of you, that animal
anything to set you apart.
Anything. Absolutely anything. And you're always told that. And Ryan, how often do you hear this from the outside? Look at the judge. Look at the judge. It's those things that everybody's pretty much doing. Looking at the judge, give him that handshake. That's not. Yes, do you need to do those things? Yes, but that is not setting you apart.
But that doesn't set you apart.
Exactly. Do something that sets you apart.
And again, I have had kids tell me they're fine as frog hair, or if they were any better, it could be 2 of them. And I'm not saying you have to have some crafty one-liner. Some kids aren't that way. But again, I'm going to remember those kids that are funny like that.
Because in that serious situation, you don't get a lot of that. So you
don't. So I'm going to, I can't tell, like, and most times it's girls, and that's fine. They're like, I love your nail color or something like that. I mean, I think it's funny and I laugh.
You do not need to talk about your nail color.
Well, it's the truth. They say those things.
You should not have some nail polish on to begin with when you're judging a show. Distracting. Very distracting. Okay, so you know what? While we're talking about
white, privileged old man. That is what you are.
So while we're setting themselves apart, there's one thing that's real simple. If you simply come up to that ring, like the young man you talked about, and set yourself in the middle of that bleachers, there was nobody else that day doing it, was there, Ryan?
No, he was it.
And how simple is that?
And again, there are so many opportunities that unfold that these kids don't either realize they can take advantage of the situation to help them or whatever. Again, if you can work in somewhere, some point, something. I'll give an example. Maybe a calf got loose, and I'm sure this has happened, but a calf got loose in a class or two before, and acted up, whatever. And you go up to that kid and say, "How are you?" Well, I hope my steer doesn't act up like that one a couple classes ago. Where you know that kid was paying attention to what was going on. Do you know how rare that is?
Very. That's good, though. It would be really good.
I mean, and again, that is simple, easy.
Or how about you make a reference that I hope you like this one as well as you did such and such class.
Right, exactly. And I have had kids say, well, or when I say, how are you doing? I'd be better if I get a glitter slap or something like that. And it's funny.
And it's fine. It doesn't.
And it's fine.
Wrong.
Exactly. And all those things. But that will set you apart. But I'm telling you, if you can reference something that judge said in conversation in that ring, that is going to make an impression like a ton of bricks. Because you're like, this person was actually listening to what I said. Because you know how many people don't listen to what we say? Not just me, everybody, every judge, the large majority.
So they're I'm gonna defend the exhibitor a little bit again. So Katie, your little star child, Ryan. Mm-hmm. When I send her, when she's going into the ring and I try to give her some guidance or advice, and a lot of times it'll be, hey, make some conversation of some sort. It is she will do it, but I think it's more difficult than what you and I make it out to be for a lot of kids. I don't know why. I don't understand it, but it just is.
And I'm not saying that is not true. I do believe there is some of that it is harder for some kids and stuff like that. But every kid can say, I'm good, sir. How are you?
Yes.
Every kid.
We can do that.
Every single kid can do that. Again, some kids have tons of personality and some do not. And there is nothing wrong with that. Or it takes longer to get that personality out of that child. And you're not going to get it in that 5 minutes in the ring. I get that. But if you can, God, it makes a difference. I'm telling you, it does. You want that kid to do well. You just do. I will tell a story. The show that you judged in Montana. And then I judged the next year, I think.
Where the grizzly bears were?
Yeah, it's the grizzly bear show. Okay. So this boy comes in, has a goat, and it's just a nice, it's not a great goat. It's not a bad goat. It's just kind of a goat. That kid was such a good showman. I mean, amazing showman. I was like, I'm going to get this goat to the top 5. So at least this kid gets this animal talked about. And I can say on the mic to everybody how great a showman he is. And that's just honest truth. That goat could have been 7th. That goat could have been 6th. Or he could have been 5th. And I put him 5th because I wanted to have the opportunity to call out to everybody what a tremendous showman that person was.
I think you hit on something.
That's just as truthful as you can be.
And you hit on something really positive. So we're talking about all these other things, build that rapport, mannerisms, polite gestures, all those things. You know what, Ryan? And this wins me over just as much as any of those other things. I'd like to have them compounded. And I'd like to see that kid outside the ring, just boom, studying, dead on, serious. I'd like to see him prepared to come in, all of those things. But you know what? Just like what you said right there, sometimes those kids that you know have put so much effort into getting as good as they are about getting those animals stuck or drove or led or whatever it may be, that gives me the warm fuzzy that they've put that much effort into it. And I'm drawn to those kids that can absolutely nail it. I'm not saying that they're going to win because of it, but just like you, by gosh, if that kid's is somewhere between 4th and 7th and I want to talk to the top 5, what are the odds that one that is doing the best job and it looks like they've put an incredible, they're going to make it.
They're going to make it. And so the funny on this story, on this Montana Grizzly show, whatever. So we go through the show and I said, what a great job that kid doesn't come back and showmanship. And I was like, what the hell?
Nice job. Nice.
Okay, wait. No, wait. This gets good. So the sheep show comes in. Here he is. I said, and the sheep is good, like real good. I said, hey, where were you in goat showmanship? He said, "Sir, I was just helping out somebody that had 2 in that class. That wasn't my goat."
I love it. I love it.
But he stuck that goat like it was his, like he had what. And you know what? He beat the other kid that owned the
He
goat.
should have went ahead and came back for showmanship. He doesn't have to have his own goat.
And so anyway, I mean, again, and then before I want to talk about one other area, and I know we're getting long, but I'm going to talk about another area. The other thing that I want to caution every single kid about, and I am as competitive a person as anyone, and I hate losing. When I mean I hate losing, I hate it. You've got to get a poker face. I had to develop one. You have to have a poker face, because those kids that are in this and when, competitive, all this other stuff, the moment there is an eye roll or a bad look or any of those things, you don't know, you do not realize it can be just a second, but most of those judges are going to see it. And that is going to put a very bad taste in their mouth. Very bad taste. Very. And some kids want you to know that they're pissed. But I'm talking about more than ones that just have that momentarily slip. You can't slip.
No, it doesn't work. You may get away with it once, but you're going to get hung on it.
And I'll tell a story about a girl. I did breeding. Could have been reserve, but it was between her and one other one. She didn't get reserve. That girl was pissed. I mean, pissed. She comes back a couple hours later with the market, and she's got the hammer then. She's going to win the show. So when I slapped that girl champion, I said, "I bet you're a little happier with me than you were before, aren't you?" And you would have thought, I mean, that girl knew. I knew. I bet she won't ever do that again. What do you bet?
I hope she doesn't. Lesson well learned. We hope.
And that's just some little things. And then the one thing that I'm probably going to sound like Reverend Al Sharpton on this, and so forgive me. I do not think anyone that has not judged understands how awkward backdrop situations are. It is the worst part of the job. It is awkward. It is horrible. You learn more about a child in a backdrop scenario than you do anywhere else. Do you agree with that, Dale?
I agree 110% on that one.
And if you are lucky enough to get to the backdrop with a judge, my God, save yourself, because I'm telling you, you can learn everything about, and I'm going to leave the parents and the fitters and all that other stuff out of it. I'm talking about the kid. And I'm just going to tell you, if that kid is gracious and humbled and thank you so much, I appreciate it, all this other stuff, great, wonderful. Maybe it didn't go, maybe you're 4th overall. Maybe you're not. If you are a spoiled, rotten brat that's pissed off, not good.
But you will remember.
Oh, you bet I will. But more important than that, and I am going to say it, and it's going to be out there. I don't care what kid you are, unless you are little bitty small child. And when I mean little bitty small child, I'm talking 9 and under. You do it yourself. You set that animal up at the backdrop. You do not hand it off to someone. You do it. Because the first thing that I think when I see an exhibitor hand that animal off to somebody else and they bring it in and set it, it doesn't matter if it's sheep, goat, whatever. What do you think I think, Dale?
They may not be putting the time in themselves.
That's right. And that may be completely off, but that is what my mind goes to. Now, I will also say, and I'm telling you that this is what I do, not other people. If an animal is unruly, not acting up, I'll say, hey, I'll look at him on, like, after the 3rd try, I'll be like, can someone else get this one to cooperate? And if they say, well, let me try, I have no problem with that. Because, again, that kid has tried themselves to get it to work and it's not working. But at that
point, it's perfectly fine to.
Right. Exactly. I mean, and I will be the first one to say, can somebody else get this one to stand still so we can, get this done? And that perfectly fine. And then some kids be like, oh, hell no, I'm going to do it. I'm like, all right, big boy, get with it. Let's go. But I am just telling you, you learn more at a backdrop and it is by how you act to that judge and how you act to the other people in that backdrop. Because again, do you know how many people are yelling at a kid at a backdrop? There's probably at least 6 in everyone. The photographer, people standing there, whatever. 6 people are yelling at this child to do something. And a lot of times, I mean, if a kid is funny and say, well, would you like to do it? Whatever. I mean, like stuff like that, whatever. But there's a lot of times that kids get rude, and not to me, but to other people. All of those people helped you get there. You didn't do it alone. You did it once it was in the ring, but all those people, it's not like the carnies came out of the, Ferris wheel and like, hey, can I stand in your picture? Those people are on your team. Don't be rude. Don't be rude. It's a stressful situation. It's awkward. I know, but don't be rude. I'm telling you, you learn more about a kid at a backdrop than anywhere else.
And
so be on your A game.
And we do remember. You may not remember every kid at the backdrop, but you remember everyone that
you remember the good or the bad, the really good or the bad. You do.
Yep. You're exactly right. Exactly right. That was good. I think this. I hope the exhibitors are listening, Ryan, because
I'm gonna get so much hate mail.
No, I don't think so. I like hate mail for you, but I don't believe you're going to get it on this one. Is there anything else that you forgot to bring up?
I think that you said it best. Is any way, any time, whether you're in the ring, at the ring, outside the ring, at the backdrop, that you can make yourself set yourself apart from every other exhibitor in a good way, then again, warm fuzzies are real. Warm fuzzies are real. That's going to be a hashtag. Warm fuzzies are real.
Anytime you're within sight or sound of that judge, you better be game.
You better be on your A game.
It's that simple. And there are kids that are, but you want to know what, Ryan? There's far fewer that are than.
Okay, I almost forgot this, but this is what. There is a child that I was judging. They weren't showing yet. They had showed earlier, whatever. And I commented that I hoped I had a voice by the time we started the show that afternoon because the ring was so dusty. Guess when I walk up back at the afternoon, there's a kid watering down the show ring. A kid. Now, that kid did not show to me that night, but the next time that kid, I'm going to remember that kid for the rest of my life.
That's clear. That's a good example. Very, very good example. I have to circle back just a moment. And then we're going to conclude this, or I'm going to give a short summary. And I know that we have a few listeners out there, a few exhibitors. And this is not hard to implement. Don't think anything that Ryan or I have said here is difficult at all. And I promise you, as little effort as it takes, it will make a difference someday, somewhere. I promise you that it will. There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever. Okay, since we were kind of negative on current events, I wanted to bring up something. I have Fox News on in the background because the garage station was out of service for some reason.
They probably can't afford. They can only do early morning and late night. So they can't be.
My circle back is Laura Ingram is covering the Mitch McConnell moment as we were recording. It is getting attention.
Fox covered it the first time too.
Got it. And there is something else that popped up on my phone, and I didn't hear this. It was a listener, I believe, just happened to know we're recording somehow. Do you realize what DeSantis, Ron, my boy Ron, said about looting during the hurricane?
I'm going to shoot him in the kneecaps.
He basically supports some of the signs: "You loot, we shoot."
Well, there you go.
He says, "You don't know what's behind that door. You better think twice before you go in." I like.
And I also want to say, since you brought up, I'm glad you brought up the hurricanes. We are definitely thinking of all the livestock families in Florida, and there's a bunch. One hurricane's bad enough, getting hit with 2 at the same time. So we hope that y'all are all safe and nothing bad happens. So thinking of y'all, but I brought this up to Dale and Clifton last night. So the 2 hurricanes in Florida. Do you know who Ron White is, Dale?
I do not.
Okay, Ron White is a very, very, very funny comedian. And so, anyway, he has this skit about this man in Florida that chains himself to a palm tree to prove that he can withstand the winds and the force of a hurricane. Anyway, when those two hurricanes, you
So
need to look that up.
I
It's
am
funny.
I am out of the loop, obviously, here. 2 hurricanes. I was
Yes.
aware of 1.
No, 2. Hurricane sandwich.
Got it. I did not. I wasn't.
That's
aware of
what
the
they
second one.
called it on the news. That's not me.
I'm not arguing. I've only seen one going up the Gulf side and now going into Georgia, and it looks like
Clifton, will you at least chime in and tell Dale that there was a hurricane sandwich?
I believe you. I'm just saying I am unaware of this.
See, I am not delusional.
Kind of like The Perfect Storm, the movie.
Lord, there you go.
Well, we greatly appreciate everything, and we're going to move on to your favorite, Ryan.
To question and answer that is brought to us by Basic Animal Health and Leonard Truck and Trailer. Thank you to both of those companies. And Basic Animal Health is dedicated to providing natural solutions for your animal's needs. They currently have 3 products: Gut Health, Show Focus, and Trailer Ride. And if you go to www.basicanimalhealth.com, and when you go buy these products and you go to the checkout, if you will put in the code BTRJLA, we will get a portion of the profits to help with our awards. So thank you, Basic Animal Health. Fire away, Dale.
The first one comes from Holly. I do not believe it would be my wife, but it is Holly. These, I don't know what I was struggling for questions. This, like usual, more so than usual, because they're short ones, and I don't like them this week. This one I'm okay with. When I was growing up showing horses, the class was called fitting and showmanship. Why has fitting been taken out of showmanship?
I think probably the most obvious reason is that in most shows, showmanship is before the show. And so you can't fit your animal and keep it fit all day.
You could fit and break down and refit.
You're gonna waste that much hair.
You know, in all reality, when we're working with families, I will visit with the family in that exhibitor, and some of them, Ryan, and I know you're not going to jump on board on this one. The showmanship is more important to them than the show, and if that's the case, then it's a full outfit for it. But you're right. In general, it is a dilemma at some of the larger shows that we go to. If showmanship is before, and let's say it's the same day, whether they're going to fit or even go out for showmanship. And at the larger shows, and we haven't talked about this, Ryan, I would prefer at the larger shows, it is not the same judge judging showmanship as judging the animals.
I think there should always be a separate showmanship judge.
I mean, I know at a little jackpot show or a county fair, that's not.
I still think it should be separate.
I know, but they can't justify the cost. So I get it. But no, that is my advice for those superintendents out there. There are kids not going in showmanship because they may not fit, and there's no reason. Why would you go out in showmanship if you're going to take your animal out there when it's not?
You can't. It's not a wise idea if it's at a big show, and I'm talking like state fair, major show, whatever. Even if it's your county fair, it's not a wise idea to let the judge that's judging the show see your animal unfit. That is not wise. Unless
that animal just looks as good, not fit as fit. That's the only. And
how many of those are out there?
Not many. So Holly, hopefully, and I think you can throw in there, Holly. I don't know when it's too hard to police who's fitting those animals as well, unless you
again. And that was going to be my other point. Unless it is like I'll use the National Junior Hereford Expo for an example. Their top 10 seniors, they cut it down to 10 in showmanship, and then they put later in the day, those 10 bring their animal in and they fit them out there in the ring in front of God and everybody. Okay, so that kid is doing it by himself. You can't police unless you have something like that. You don't know who fit the animal. It could have been that kid. It could have been the kid's parents. It could have been a fitter, whatever, all this other stuff. So even when animals come into the ring fit and some don't to me, I never take the fitting part into consideration when I'm judging showmanship, because again, it is showmanship, not fitting and showmanship, as this lady is saying. And also, that kid could have done it, or Santa Claus could have done it. I don't know.
And I'm going to call you out just a little bit. And I'm with you. I do my best not to take
asshole.
into account. But those ones that are well presented, it gets your attention. And not always, but more times than not, there's usually a pretty good showman on them. Not always.
No, I just had this conversation with somebody the other day, just 2 days ago, I think. But anyway, there are kids that are excellent showmen that may never have the animal to win the show, but they showmanship is their goal, all this other stuff. And there are those things a lot of times, but also more times than not, those super duper great elite animals, they normally have an equally strong showman on them because, again, the work is at home. Are there times, few, but there are times where there will be a great animal and the kid has never seen it, never worked with it, whatever. That happens too. But more times than not, the really, really superior animals also have a superior showman on them.
And there are some animals that are average that have superior showman.
Yes, I said that at the start.
All around. Okay, the next question comes from Jim. And this will prove to you that I didn't go way back. I kind of grabbed 3 and we ran. Ryan, you told us many times that you were going to interview Dale about his Argentine-based cattle project.
He won't let me because he's a control freak.
I told you I would. You just have not volunteered.
Oh, but bullshit. No.
I am going on record that I will do that.
Okay, we'll do it next week then. How about that?
I did not say next week. Don't you have a topic already for next week?
No, I'm adaptable. I am multi-talented.
Oh my. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Third question, Sarah. Have you ever thought about doing a state fair episode along the lines of those you have done about county fairs?
We just did one.
That's easy, wasn't it?
We did. It was your idea.
It was in the same context, similar.
It was state fair. It was, I don't even remember the name, but it was not, it was in the last month or two. We talked about state fairs.
We did discuss those. And I think that covers it. Maybe she hadn't listened to that one yet. This question was just submitted very recently. So maybe Sarah's not caught up on it. I don't know if it has the same impact and you can't put it quite in the same kind. There's no way to replicate a county fair. There's just too much behind most of them. But we do have.
I mean, the count, and we're gonna have. I've had 9,000 people want county fair mentality again, and we will because I've got new stuff. But I mean, I'm just saying, the topic is not the same as the state fair because again, a lot of the stuff that we talk about on county fair mentality is that it's. Stupid stuff happens.
There's enough stupid stuff at state fairs as well, but not to the same level.
But not on the same level. And it is for this lady, episode 168, State Fair Obsession.
There you go. She's on it. Sarah has got it now. And Ryan, are we allowed to announce what's going on October 31st?
I have not got that sent to. No, we'll wait till next week.
All right, just checking. I wanted to make sure nobody got left out.
Christ.
Until next week, be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear?